The man spent 20 years finally clearing the last level of Nightmare Tower, successfully breaking through all the limits of ability values and became an awakener who surpassed human limits. But when he was about to destroy Nightmare Tower, he discovered that above the 100 levels of Magic Tower existed an even larger world, and the world he inhabited was merely a toy in the hands of the gods. It turned out that one day, Magic Towers suddenly appeared all over the world, and countless monsters poured out of the towers, crazily slaughtering humans. Just when people thought the world was about to face annihilation, the Magic Tower sent out a call to all humanity. Only by conquering the Magic Tower could they save the world. Those who accepted the call not only gained the protection of the interface system, but also acquired items and skills as if they were in a game. So, they all entered the Tower world, starting the Tower Wars. However, as the levels of the Magic Tower increased, the monsters grew more powerful. Batch after batch of Tower Walkers fell. Just as they struggled to keep going, the emergence of an item gave people hope again. As long as they crushed it, they could retain their memories and go back to the past. Faced with the threat of death, the Tower Walkers chose to return to the past. Yet, there was one team that decided to protect humanity's present, not the past. Until they reached the 98th level with everyone's hope, the group fell into despair. Watching their comrades fall one by one, Zai-1 couldn't understand why. Was this really their final outcome? Gradually, his consciousness began to blur. Just as he was about to give up the fight, his teammate Ying Jinli took a fatal hit for him, and this moment completely ignited Zai-1's fury. He picked up the weapon on the ground again, ready to fight to the end even if it took every last bit of strength. At that instant, a white light circled around his eyes, shining on the leader's back. Was that its weakness? Thinking of this, a shadow of a sword cut through the void, accompanied by a thunderous roar, and the leader's back instantly shattered, its massive body crashing down. But when everything was over, this team was left with only him. Despite this, he didn't stop. He dragged his weary body and resolutely pushed open the door to the 99th level. As he stepped into the 99th level, a world wrapped in ice and snow suddenly appeared before him. The leader ruling this level was Poseidon, the ice dragon from the legendary Forgotten Continent. Even with maximum cold resistance, its attacks were hard to fend off. On this level, Zai-1 fought for a full decade. Over those 10 years, he survived time and again, relying on the experience he accumulated and the equipment left behind by his teammates. But gradually, he noticed that no new Tower Walkers were appearing, realizing that the world outside the tower might have perished. Nevertheless, this didn't make him stop. He reaffirmed his belief, prepared his defenses, and stood in front of the Ice Dragon once more. Seeing the small human appear in front of him again and again, Poseidon couldn't help but feel a sense of admiration. Since the tower was built, you are the only human who has dared to challenge me alone. You're impressive, but unfortunately, you'll never defeat me. Facing Ice Dragon's taunts, Zai-1 just smiled slightly. Isn't it too early to draw conclusions? What if I actually pull it off? After all, the armor you're so proud of is starting to show cracks. With that, he raised his weapon again and charged at Ice Dragon. But against such a terrifying presence, Zai-1's attack felt so weak. In just a moment, his body was frozen against the wall, while the surrounding ice transformed into the forms of his former companions, trying to pull him into endless darkness. However, this ignited Zai-1's fury. As the surrounding ice shattered inch by inch, he raised his weapon and charged at Ice Dragon again. His attack was still that simple yet terrifying thrust. Unlike other Tower Walkers, Zai-1 entered the tower later and missed many hidden skills, so he decisively gave up on the others and focused on mastering one, the thrust. After countless swings, what seemed like a simple move could unleash god-tier skill power in his hands. Yet even so, hundreds of attacks only left shallow wounds on Ice Dragon. But this time, something changed. As ZAI-1 faced Ice Dragon's attack head-on, the white light, which once appeared during the 98th floor boss fight, re-emerged. At that moment, ZAI-1 hesitated no longer and made a powerful strike towards the white light. With a roar, a terrifying dent appeared on Ice Dragon's head. However, this didn't deal a fatal blow. Instead, it completely enraged the beast. It spread its massive wings and took to the sky, unleashing a flurry of attacks. ZAI-1 could only move back and forth, barely dodging them. In the midst of the onslaught, Ice Dragon couldn't help but taunt, "If there were 10 of you, maybe you could win against me. Too bad, they're all deceived by Nightmare Stone. Otherwise, their fate might be entirely different." At that moment, while Ice Dragon was busy talking smack, ZAI-1 seized the opportunity to leap back outside the gates of the 99th floor. But Ice Dragon's words lingered in his mind, refusing to fade away. 10 years later, as the Ice Dragon crashed to the ground, the system popped up a series of notifications. "Congratulations. You've earned the title Nightmare of the 99th floor." At the same time, all of ZAI-1's ability values hit their limits. But ZAI-1 didn't feel even a hint of excitement. He coldly looked at the Ice Dragon and asked the question that had been bothering him for a long time. "What the hell is the Nightmare Stone?" The Ice Dragon simply replied, "Didn't you already know the answer?" Before turning into a puddle of black water. After collecting the final reward, the black water on the ground slowly formed into a large door. The entrance to the 100th floor appeared. Without hesitation, ZAI-1 stepped into the final layer. However, when he saw the world behind the door, he was instantly stunned by the sight before him. The 100th floor turned out to be a massive control room, with huge screens displaying real-time conditions throughout the tower. Before ZAI-1 could gather his thoughts, a voice slowly appeared in his ear. "I didn't expect you to arrive this early. I thought you'd head back to the village first." With that, the system prompt chimed again. "Congratulations. You are the first participant to successfully clear the tutorial level in the 294th world." In that moment, ZAI-1 was completely dumbfounded. He couldn't believe that all the sacrifices made by his predecessors were just for a tutorial level. Looking at the shadow in front of him, anger and resentment bubbled up inside him. A terrifying energy exploded from ZAI-1's body. Seeing this, the shadow warned him not to let his emotions consume him. After all, as a human, it was already impressive to have made it this far. However, as soon as the words left the shadow's mouth, the overwhelming pressure vanished. ZAI-1, with a cold expression, fixed his gaze on the shadow ahead. Noticing how quickly ZAI-1 had composed himself, the shadow couldn't help but sigh. So it began to introduce itself. "Turns out the master of this Tower of Dreams is the demon Shoyu. I've been looking forward to meeting you since you're the first person in history to reach the 100th floor alone." Hearing the praise from the other side, ZAI-1's eyes remained cold. He bluntly questioned, since the previous part was a tutorial level, does that mean there are official levels ahead? In response to ZAI-1's question, Shoyu didn't answer. He simply snapped his fingers, and everything ZAI-1 had experienced in the tower slowly appeared like a revolving lantern. This scene told the story of his sadness and anger. At this moment, Shoyu's voice came again. "Even if it's something that's long past, it inevitably leaves some pointless emotions in your heart. So, I've specially prepared a brand new opportunity for Mr. ZAI-1, a chance to retain your memories and restart this game." But at this point, ZAI-1 fell into deep thought. Could it be that humans had been deceived from the very beginning? The so-called strategy to conquer the Magic Tower and save humanity was just a dream. No one could truly save the world from destruction. Thinking about this, he looked up at the demon in front of him. "You should know very well that it's impossible for me to go back to the past. However, This statement made Shoyu burst into laughter. Looks like you're still tangled up about the past. Since that's the case, let me explain it a bit clearer. None of the items in this tower can send you back to the past. Where's the so-called golden finger that lets you return to the past? Hearing this, Zai Huan was taken aback again, falling into confusion. There was clearly an item called the Stone of Return in the tower. However, just as the thought crossed his mind, his brain was instantly filled with a buzzing noise. Ice Dragon's words resurfaced in his mind. At that moment, his mind went blank. Shoyu continued, "Looks like you figured it out." "That's right. It's not the Stone of Return. It's the Nightmare Stone. The user won't go back to the past. They're just trapped in a dream woven by the nightmare. But don't worry, while I can't give you the chance to return to the past, I can allow you to retain your memories and restart the game." After all, I didn't expect Raze to have such a deep obsession with going back to the past. However, before Shoyu could finish, Zai Huan pressed the deny button without hesitation. "Since I am already trapped in the dream created by the magic tower, I will defeat you and move on to the next level." Once he said that, Shoyu was immediately stunned. He never expected that this man would be so persistent, so he could only helplessly continue to explain. "This is already the end of the magic tower. There's no next floor at all." However, Zai Huan didn't believe it at all. He struck out directly at Shoyu, but his sword light seemed to hit nothing, causing no damage whatsoever. Shoyu thought Zai Huan was dissatisfied with the clearing rewards, so he offered that as long as it was what Zai Huan wanted, whether it was hidden items or skills, he would fulfill all of them. But Zai Huan remained unmoved by this. Seeing this, Shoyu could only reveal his final secret. "Since you already know that the Nightmare Tower is a product of dreams, you should also know that the world you're in hasn't actually perished at all." Then, Shoyu snapped his fingers again. In the next second, Zai Huan found himself on a bustling street. The passers-by were as busy as ever, and those tower walkers had simply entered a dream and couldn't wake up. The world in the speech tower had passed for decades, but in reality, it was only a short month. And for you, who barely cleared the tutorial level, there is absolutely no way to defeat me. Just like the gap between an ordinary person and a dragon. Faced with this sudden shock, Zai Huan fell silent. However, this information couldn't change his belief at all. He just coldly replied, "So what if all this is true? If it's a dragon, I've already defeated one." After saying this, he raised his weapon again and attacked Shoyu. In the future, he constantly challenged Shoyu, but no matter how he attacked, he couldn't deal any damage. Gradually, he was the only one left in the entire magic tower. Yet even so, he never thought about giving up. At this moment, Shoyu was so angry at this situation that he bit his fingers. For him, Zai Huan was a product that absolutely couldn't have any issues. A premium item that the gods were fighting over. If Zai Huan could successfully clear the official level, then as the nurturer of this product, he would surely soar to the ranks of high demons. The so-called Nightmare Tower was merely a tool for cultivating products. To help this product adapt to the environment of the Great Land, the nurturer would at most go through the cultivation processes to improve the product's quality. The first round of cultivation was the process of selecting good products, which was the tutorial level. The second round was the process of allowing the selected products to grow, which was the official level. Only products that passed these tests could officially be sold. What Shoyu never expected was that there would actually be a product refusing to enter the next stage. Thinking about this made him feel an urge to completely crush Zai Huan, but he was also worried about harming Zai Huan's soul. Therefore, every time Zai Huan fought him, he always managed to escape by a hair's breadth. Every day of constant fighting finally got to Shoyu. He grabbed Zai Huan by the neck and slammed him against the wall, then shouted, What do you want? Why keep fighting these pointless battles? But Zai Huan always replied the same. I want to defeat you and move on to the next level. Actually, all of this was part of Zai Huan's plan. Seeing Shou Yu had completely lost his patience, he demanded Zai Huan answer a few questions. At the negotiation table, Shou Yu started explaining the structure of this universe. It turned out that the universe where Earth is located isn't made up of just one dimension. It consists of a main dimension called Great Land and countless borders derived from it. Earth is just a tiny asteroid scattered among the many borders in the dimensional system. This asteroid is called World 294. The reason Tower Walkers gain skills or items in the Dream Tower is to adapt to the Great Land system, ultimately earning a chance to enter a new world. And demons like Shou Yu are responsible for assisting Tower Walkers in the game. After hearing all this, Zai Huan pressed on, how exactly do you operate this magic tower? Upon hearing this question, Shou Yu quickly changed the topic, claiming it was just a coincidence that Earth was chosen as the target. However, Zai Huan was not satisfied with this answer. He reiterated his question, and Shou Yu scrambled for various excuses to dodge it. Little did he know, regardless of what he answered, his panicked behavior had already given away the truth. Because while he was answering, Zai Huan had seen the true essence of things behind him. Time passed, and Zai Huan couldn't remember how many times he had challenged Shou Yu. Even though his attributes had reached the limit of first magic and then enhancement, he still couldn't hit Shou Yu. This left Zai Huan feeling utterly lost. He lay on the ground, constantly thinking, can humans really perfectly replicate things with data? Gradually, he began to doubt the world itself. Just then, a strange feeling washed over him, as if the whole world was filled with countless tiny particles. These beautiful, soft particles could change into various structures and shapes, and this was the essence of what made up this world. At that moment, he reignited his confidence to defeat Shou Yu. So he asked Shou Yu about the one referred to as the monarch. Seeing Zai Huan's interest, Shou Yu jumped at the chance to brainwash him. He quickly explained that the monarchs are the rulers of Great Land. Generally speaking, anyone who completes the game and successfully enters Great Land will be recruited by various monarchs. And depending on which monarch is chosen, the participants' futures will change accordingly. After saying all this, Shou Yu didn't forget to pitch to Zai Huan, if you're willing to enter the official levels, I can guarantee on the demon's reputation that I'll do my utmost to help you join the best monarch. Hearing this, Zai Huan looked completely speechless. He knew this guy couldn't be that nice. After thinking for a moment, he turned serious and looked at Beast Trouble, making a decision. In 10 days, I will voluntarily leave here. Shou Yu was overjoyed upon hearing this. Finally, it would all come to an end. If it weren't for his financial struggles, he would have bought the first generation Broken Tower on the day of the Dream Demon event at the Magic Convention. If he had gotten the recently released third generation Magic Tower instead, he could have ended the tutorial level and ensured the goods were intact. Unlike now, where he could only end the game if the item agreed. But luckily, everything would wrap up in 10 days, and then he could truly walk towards the peak of demonic life. On the 10th day after Zai Huan's promise to leave, Shou Yu eagerly waited for him to hit the confirm button. But just then, Zai Huan pulled out his sword and lunged straight at Shou Yu. Caught off guard by the sudden attack, Shou Yu was shocked. Mr. Zai Huan, what are you doing? What am I doing? Of course, I'm here to defeat you. Ever since Zai Huan felt those basic particles, every time he executed a stab, it became incredibly unstable. It was a bizarre feeling of disharmony. It was as if his dormant senses had been completely awakened. At these moments, Zai Huan experienced the long-lost feeling of being alive. In response, Shou Yu quickly shook off his earlier shock and calmed down. He waved his hand casually, and countless thorns shot up from the ground, instantly binding Zai Huan's body against the wall. Did you think this would leave me helpless? Who told you the tutorial level would go on forever? In fact, 100 days after a player completes the tutorial game, regardless of their agreement, the game system will automatically shut down. From now on, you should just wait here to enter the formal level. Upon hearing this, Zai-Huan was instantly shocked. He tightly gripped his weapon and glared fiercely at the demon Shou-Yu in front of him. You're known as the prankster gentleman in the Great Land. Over the past 784 years, you visited 128 different worlds, corrupting various races along the way. As soon as those words were spoken, Shou-Yu froze in place. How do you know this? But Zai-Huan didn't answer. He continued, you were planning to raise me up and then sell me to that reaper known as the Dark Lord, right? When Shou-Yu heard this, he couldn't hide the panic in his heart any longer. He looked shocked and asked, how do you know all this? When Zai-Huan heard the demon's question, a cold smile spread across his face. In the next moment, a tremendous wave of energy erupted from his body. A simple thrust was launched toward Shou-Yu again, and this time, the attack left a deep gash on Shou-Yu's body. Shou-Yu's expression turned to one of disbelief once more. Who exactly are you? I'm just the product you've been nurturing here for decades. Nothing more. It turns out that since the day Zai-Huan first reached the 100th floor, he had been doubting whether this tower was in the dream of a dream demon. He questioned why Shou-Yu couldn't attack him and wondered how humans could perfectly restore everything based on just this data. Gradually, the essence of the world began to unravel, revealing its truths to him. After countless doubts, when he was completely certain, he finally understood the scale of the thrust. Faced with Zai-Huan's terrifying attack, Shou-Yu no longer dared to hold back.